it's me, Nikki. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do some random book recommendations. I saw this on a couple other people's channels and I was like, you know what? Let's do that. I've tried to diversify it a little bit. I always recommend One Piece and Roger the Chapman. So, of course, I recommend those. But I thought I'd, see some other ones. So just starting from the pile of books on top. The first one is The Map of Time. This is a trilogy by Felix J. Palma. I think I've talked about it before, but I don't know if I've recommended it. It is about H.G. Wells. Specifically, this one is about his book, The Time Machine. People believe that it's real, so that's interesting, and he gets into some shenanigans and hijinks with that. The second one is about War of the Worlds. What's the third one about? The Invisible Man, I think? Maybe? Yeah, but, they're all really, really good. And I recommend all of them. So, but this one you can read without having to read the other two. The other two you kind of need to read this one. Obviously. I don't know where to put this. But yeah, I love those books so much. I'm so glad I found them. The next book is The Princess Bride by William Goldman, which is S. Morgenstern's classic tale of true love and high adventure. He wrote this first, and then he wrote the movie script, which everybody knows about, and if you don't, go watch that movie immediately, and then read the book. The book, because it's a book, has more information and more details about some of the scenes in the movie. And this is also like a book within a book, because The Princess Bride is by S. Morgenstern, and this is, as it says, the Good Parts version, abridged by William Goldman. So, and some of it is, like, he talks about how he found the book and his life when he's trying to edit the book, and then it's also the story of Buttercup and Wesley. So, yeah, it was fun to read it because I would picture the characters from the movie in my mind. So I definitely recommend this. It's just as funny and outrageous. Next is The Curse of Chalion, by Lois McMaster Bujold. Yes. I want to say, I don't know why I want to say call it something else, but it's Lois. And this is the first book in her, it's not a trilogy, but it's 3 books set in the same universe. There is a sort of sequel to this, because it concerns a character in this book, and it, what happens after this one with her, which I also definitely recommend. But this one's a lot of fun. I talked about this before as well. I think it's about Kazaril. I think that's how you say that. And he has to help the Royas, who's basically in line for the throne of this kingdom. There's no map, unfortunately. And there's a curse upon her family, and he is charged by the gods. There's 4 of them? 5 of them. I think there's a mother, father, daughter, son, and then like an outcast one that has to do with because they're all associated with an animal And the Outcast one is rats, I think. And it has to do, the Outcast one has to do with dead things. Can't remember that god's name off the top of my head. And they're basically like, it's up to you, dude. And he does it. And I really enjoyed it. It's a very medieval feel with fantasy. It's classic medieval fantasy type of stuff. And Kaz is older. If you hear squeaking, that's my cat. I left her in her carrier so she wouldn't wander while I film this. He's older. I want to say maybe 30s. And the Royess and another girl are in like their 20s, maybe 18. I'm not 100% sure. But he is older than them. Next, I have The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. This is the biographies of the 5 women killed by Jack the Ripper, and every section ends, like part 2 is about Annie, and it ends essentially with Jack finding her, and it does not cover her murder. It doesn't cover any of them because that's all everybody talks about. This talks about their lives before that and what led up to them being the unfortunate victims of Jack the Ripper. And it was really, really good. Really interesting. Nobody ever talks about that. They're just, oh, the prostitutes. And they had lives before that, and there are reasons why they became prostitutes. So that is also talked about as well. But yeah, definitely read this. I think she's got another book coming out. She has a book, The Covent Garden Ladies. And she might have another book coming out, and I'm going to have to check those out. Next is a recent read for me, Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. This was so good. I can't believe I put it off for so long. It is an African-inspired fantasy about Tarisai, I think is how you pronounce that. And she has been like neglected basically by her mother and raised to essentially join the council's prince and then kill him for reasons unknown to her. And that is what this is about, her finding out why her mother wants her to do this, and finding out some more about the history of her family and the council and the crown and all that stuff. So it's really, really good. It reads really quickly, and it's just packed full of action and information, but not in a bad way. And the thing happens at the end of part 2, so there's like a whole other half of what happens after that, and it was just so good. I have the sequel. I'm excited to read that, but definitely pick this up. This would be considered YA, I believe, but I think you could still like it even if you don't read YA as a mainstay. I always have a problem with categorizing things because when I was a kid, I think I just went to either the children's sections, the YA section, the adult section, whatever book looked good to me, I picked it up. So whether it was meant for me or not, so I never really categorized. I just that's how the bookstore did it, and I thought, oh, okay, but it didn't mean anything to me. So yeah, I'm trying to get better at that, but my brain doesn't work that way. Next, I think I've recommended this before, but I'm going to again. It's Leviathan Winks, the first in the Expanse series. The series is completed, as is the TV show, I believe. There are 9 books, and this is just the beginning of everything. It takes place in the future. We have colonized Mars, the moon, and asteroid belts, and beyond, it says. And it is Jim Holden and his crew and Detective Miller. They intersect at some point looking for a girl, and then shit goes bad. It goes really bad. This is not happy sci-fi books. Things do not end well. Characters die. I don't think they... yeah, they have. Main characters have... they break apart from each other and are in danger. So yeah, does not work out well. But it's really great. They're all really thick. I would say, personally, they all sort of start out slow because they take place a couple years apart. So it's like, here's what's happened since the last book, and how are these people faring, and here's what's happened because of all the stuff. And then once the thing happens, it picks up, and you're like, oh my god, what is happening? But yes, I definitely recommend these. Yeah, Squeaky does too. Squeaky does too. Next I have Dusty right there. The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. This is a historical fantasy about Mozart's sister, Nannerl. And it's essentially like she was just as good, maybe better, than Mozart. But because she was a girl, I think actually Mozart was better because he was, in this it said her father trained her. I don't think he trained Amadeus Mozart. He just sort of did it. But she was just as good as her brother for playing and composing, but because she was a woman or a girl at the time of this book, she had about 0 chances of continuing on in that format, that's not the word, in that job, like if that's what she wanted to do, because she wasn't even really rich enough to sort of do that. Her family was kind of poor, or not as well off as they could have been. And then this is about, they make up a kingdom called the Kingdom of Back, or Bach, I'm not 100% sure. And her and Amadeus get pulled into it, and it's just about, you know, how even Amadeus is like, well, that's bullshit, she's great. And yeah, they're just pulled into this fantasy world, and they keep getting in and out, and it's really about growing up and all this stuff, but it's so good. It's so good. I totally enjoyed it, and I think everybody should read it. Because I think I knew he had a sister, but I didn't know much about her. You didn't know anything about her either, Squeaky, so don't even. And then finally, this is the Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide, complete and unabridged. I would obviously recommend this, but I am recommending The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is book 1 in this trilogy of 5 books, or more. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's more written by somebody else who I can't remember. But it's a trilogy of 5 books. And it is British, and it is hysterical. I loved it. I have the original British TV show, and I haven't watched the movie because they said it's not as good. But essentially, it's about poor Arthur Dent, whose house is going to get bulldozed to build a bypass, like for the highway or freeway or whatever. And then his friend, Ford Prefect? I had always read it as Perfect, but it's Prefect. Comes and gets him and is like, no, actually there's more important things to happen. Earth is going to get bulldozed to build a bypass in space. So Arthur's like, what? And then he gets transported up into space and has crazy, wacky adventures trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Yes. And it's just really funny, solid humor, in my opinion. And like a lot of the there's a couple apps called Babel, which is also from, you know, Babel, like Babylon, but they have a Babel fish in here, and you put it in your ear and you can understand any language. You need a towel. The answer is 42. It's from here, but they don't know the question. And they try to find the question. So yeah. And then the others just sort of continue on from those, and they're just insane adventures of insane people in space, and I thoroughly enjoy them, and I would recommend them to everybody. I would, Squeaky. Thank you for your opinion. So, ooh, look, I'll wait there. Anyway, those are my recommendations. I might have some more after I read that extensive shelf of books, but for now, those are the books that I recommend to you. So thank you very much for watching. Excuse me. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.